So what really happens when you die? This has been a question that's remained in my mind for as long as I can remember. What about people who die suddenly, but then awaken moments later in a hospital? What did they see? Today I'll be narrating near-death experiences. This is NDE journal entry number 1, belonging to Estelle. Let's get started. I was 16 years old and born into a practicing Catholic family. On Saturday in January 1982, I was walking to church to attend Mass. I was very disappointed to not be allowed to go to a dance party with a friend. I had just left her house saying this prayer inwardly. Lord, you see what this sacrifice is costing me? Make it at least so that it's not in vain. I crossed the bridge and came to an intersection where I entered the crosswalk. The last image I saw was the horrified face of the driver in the car. Simultaneously, I heard a terrifying sound of brakes. I told myself, I'm going to die. I flew over the vehicle and was dragged under the wheels of the car behind that one. At that moment, I saw the scene from above, in 360-degree spherical vision, but without realizing that this scene was about me. I saw disturbed onlookers, a crowd, and I heard the shouts and howls. I was thinking, why are they getting disturbed? And then I moved and I saw my parents run up the bridge. I said to myself, why is Mom in slippers? She looks distraught. There's something bad going on. Oh hey, there's a wrecked car and some feet sticking out. And then I saw a young man I knew who was watching. I was able to tell him afterwards that I knew he was there on that day, and I accurately described how he was dressed. I was then suddenly sucked into a luminous tunnel. I saw an immense light. I moved towards the light, feeling intense happiness and a fullness and peace that I had never known. I felt my soul expand such that it felt like it encompassed the whole universe. It was wonderful as I bathed in universal love. There were multitudes of people, but I couldn't see any faces. Instead, I felt them. All my senses were heightened in an extraordinary way. At that moment, I never wanted to go back or leave this happiness. Then a magnificent lady who was dressed in a luminous white dress was standing in front of this great halo of light. This woman was very beautiful, but above all, because of the kindness that I saw in her smile and the way she looked at me, I knew I was loved. She seemed to be fully listening to the person behind her, whom I called the luminous star. I wanted to move forward, but she stopped me by waving me back. It was a very painful rejection that stayed with me for several years. I insisted without using words that I wanted to stay with her. Words weren't necessary. She listened to the luminous star who seemed to speak to her, but I couldn't hear it. Then she told me, "You still have things to do on Earth. You must go back." At that moment, I saw, as in a kaleidoscope, a kind of flashback movie showing all the moments of my life where I had not loved enough. There were some very concrete situations, but I can't remember exactly. What I remember is that all of those moments were like hot mud thrown in my face. It was very painful, so I begged God to stop this torture. I made a last prayer in what I thought was the kingdom of the dead. If you save my life, I promise to make up for all these moments and to love more. At that moment, I opened my eyes. I saw the stretcher bearers placing me in the vacuum mattress. I was dazed and didn't speak. The police and firefighters told me that I should have died under the circumstances. They couldn't believe that I only had a few broken bones, bruises, and head trauma. For 2 years, I had nightmares upon hearing the sound of brakes. But each time, like a reassuring hand, the memory of the lady soothed me. Then I wrote a note to my mother, who told me that from what I had written her, she thought that I had seen not my grandmother, but the Virgin Mary. Before this experience, my life was a black and white movie. Afterwards, it was a movie in color. Each encounter in the words of the gospel took an unexpected meaning in light of this experience. My faith was strengthened. I even thought I was called to a religious life. I understood that we would be judged on love, and that our life is only a trivial passage, but especially it is not real life. True life is blissful eternity, but we can begin to live this eternity right now. As I understood a few years later, it is no longer necessary to die or relive this experience. By loving here on earth, we explore the heaven of our soul and live the communion of saints in the anticipation of the kingdom of God. Wow. Okay, this is crazy. The fact that she saw everything from a 360 spherical vision and was able to identify someone who was watching and then confirm that he was watching without ever actually, like, her body was underneath a car and she was able to identify someone. I mean, that's proof of something for sure. An outer body experience 100%. That is insane, the fact that she could confirm that later on, that this guy was there based on what he was wearing. It is absolutely insane. This just shows that there is something that the world doesn't know. There is an in-between period, because she got sent back. So she didn't get to fully immerse herself in this afterlife. All she was able to see was a beautiful woman in a dress with a all shining beam behind her, which makes you think, was that Jesus Christ behind her? Was that, was that God? Who knows? All she does know is that the woman who greeted her was some sort of angel. That's a story that'll stick with me for a very long time. But this does leave me with a question on, what do you think happens if you are ready to go and cross on over to the other side, but something or someone doesn't think you are ready? Do you think that there could be a negotiation of some sort up in that middle ground area? Or do you think it's what they say goes versus what you say goes? These are the questions that constantly rummage through my head, and it leads me to see if there's anyone else like me out there who also thinks these similar things. Another thing I want to point out is that she says she communicated with these beings not through voice, but she could just hear them. That really makes you think more about prayer and more about meditation in a way, because those are the times where you're completely silent, you're quieted your mind, and you're ready to listen. What could come through? If we're all spiritual beings at the end of the day, what message are we missing out on because we're not able to quiet our mind? This is why I so deeply like to push my Wisdom Wednesdays and try to teach you guys more about meditation and show that it still goes hand in hand with religious beliefs. It has nothing to do with one being better than the other. A prayer is when you're asking. Meditation is when you're listening. That's how I like to describe things. So come check out the channel every Wednesday and get some wisdom on Wisdom Wednesdays. That wraps up this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, you want more, let me know in the comments down below. I also have a brand new song out right now called Summertime Sadness. It's available to stream on every single streaming platform. Go check it out and let me know your thoughts. I want to know some feedback. And until next time, guys, I love you so much. I'll see you later. Peace. Oh, and stay alive. Thanks.